Guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to abuse the capitalist financial system in 2025. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Josh Lee. I run my company JC Health Group in Australia. We're building the next leading clinical healthcare group across Australia, and I acquired my first clinic with no money down or any industry experience, making me the youngest no money down healthcare acquirer in Australia. Now, as always, let's jump straight in. Let's keep things as short and simple and sweet as possible. Guys, this picture that we're looking at right now, we are going through the world's greatest transformation of wealth in the entire Earth's history. This is not an understatement. This is a matter of fact. We're going through it right now. So if you don't know about it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you are already behind. And if you do know what I'm talking about and you're not taking action, you're not doing anything about it, then you're like one of these guys. Let me get my pen ready. You're like one of these guys sitting here. You know what? Let's make it red today. Let me change that shit. Hold on. Dark yellow? No. Red. You're like one of these kids. Fearing what will come. It's not what might come. It is literally happening right now. And I like what this artist did. Whoever it is. Maybe it's this guy, Hamilton, Mackay, whatever. Silver Tsunami has it. Go to high ground. And you see this dude running up the hill, going up to high ground. I like this message because he's giving you the warning. The silver tsunami is coming. Little shit kids who don't know what's happening, they're gonna get fucked. And there's a warning: go to high ground. What does going to high ground mean? And even what the fuck am I even talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, the silver tsunami refers to the trillions and trillions of dollars, of assets, of shit that the previous generations, I'm fucking 28 right now, the previous generations own. They need to pass all this shit down to their successors, people, right? People need, all these assets need to change hands. And they're changing hands right now. All these old motherfuckers are dying off and they've got no one to transfer their wealth to. A lot of business owners out there who are retiring or retired, their children don't want to take over their businesses. Their children don't want to inherit their bullshit. Of course, they want the money, but hey, a lot of these people in this smaller sub 10 mil wealth, a lot of these people's kids don't want their business, don't want their plumbing business, don't want their healthcare business, don't want their trucking business. They want to be fucking TikTok, YouTube influencers, right? They don't want boring businesses. And that's what I teach. I teach how you can buy these companies with little to no money down or even any industry experience. So in a nutshell, what is this transformation of wealth? All this wealth needs to come to someone, right? These kids aren't prepared for it. These TikTok kids, these influencer kids aren't fucking prepared for it. But if you're watching this video, let me pick this camera up as well so you can see me better. If you're watching this, chances are you've been following my content, or maybe the algorithm gods have blessed you with a valuable video so you can learn how to stop being a peasant and learn how to use the strategy that the richest people in the world use to make their money, to build their wealth. And it's leveraging this. It's leveraging what's happening right now. Now, this wealth comes in many forms. So you have the houses, right? Property, right? Houses, property. You have and you have businesses. Right? Brands, businesses, companies, right? These are the kind of two key ones. Property and businesses. Property I'm not gonna fuck with. I'm not gonna talk about that. You can go fucking listen to Grant Cardone or whoever. They'll teach you how to buy houses. They'll teach you how to play the property game. Get on the property ladder. The reason why I don't really care about the property ladder and the property game is because, for one, here's two things I like: cash flow and equity. With property, your cash flow is fixed. Is very fixed. It's very stagnant, right? Not many landlords out there. Let's say you own 1 or 2 properties. Like, that's a typical household in the modern day world, right? Modern family. Like, they own 1 or 2 properties, maybe 3, whatever. This doesn't cash flow a lot of money, right? And it's not like you can just bump the rent up by $500 and make an extra few $100s per month, right? You've got a mortgage. You've taken out a loan to buy an investment property. You're paying, 2K a month in fucking loan servicing for this house, and your tenant is paying you 2.05K, like 2.5 grand, 2.5K. I don't know why I put the 0. 2.5K per month. So you're making 500K in profit per month, and you can't increase that. Like, you can't change that. If anything, you're more prone to fucking having to fix shit. You're more prone to having to lose the tenant, or even have them not pay rent, not pay the money. Alright? That's your cash flow. Now, that's why I don't play the property game. And that's why, like, most people have been deluded to play the property game, not because of its financial benefits, but because the banks fucking have trick-fucked you. The whole campaign to buy housing was the banks. The banks trick-fucked you into getting this loan so you can pay them their $2,000 a month, and then you have the market, right? So equity. To make an equity profit in property, let's say you buy a property for 2 mil in 2025, you're gonna have to wait like 10 years. 10 years for that house to be worth, I don't know, maybe 2.5 to 3 mil. If that. If shit doesn't fuck up, if you've bought in a good location, if you did the right things, maybe your value goes up to this. So you have to wait 10 years, and then let's say you have to sell it, right? You sell this property, assuming people can still fucking afford to get a bank loan or pay it in cash, right? Loan or cash to pay this 2.5 to 3 mil, assuming that, you've had to wait 10 years to make a profit of 2.5 or 3 mil on this 2 mil loan that you've been paying your debt service on. Right? And during this 10 years, you've had this relatively fixed cash flow. Oh, and mind you, interest rates will go up or down, right? So you're going to have to pay 2 to 3K per month in loan payments, and this rental payment is going to stay relatively fixed. So often what happens with property is you break even. If you're in this let's call it 1 to 5 properties, and let's say you're just the average investor, like you're not some fucking geek and you don't geek out like, oh, this location, you run the spreadsheets and doing all this shit, chances are you're just breaking even and you're making an extra 1 to 3K per month. If you're really good and you know your shit, maybe you make that 5K plus, right? 5K plus per month at this 1 to 5 property mark. This is what happens on the majority of the time, right? So I'm not saying that you can't make property work, you can't make money with property. I'm just saying this is typically what happens with the average household, with the average person, the average investor. And with the equity part, like, this is you relying on the market. This is you relying on market conditions, on the location that you bought in, blah, 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 to make the money. And you have to wait a long time to get it done. So, fuck property. I'm not going to talk about property. I'm going to talk about businesses. How you can acquire the businesses that are owned by these old fuckers who are retiring. Right? How are you going to take over these businesses? Now, let's get one thing straight. Just because a business is for sale does not mean it's not profitable. Right? So we're looking for profitable to cash flowing businesses. Profitable and cash flowing businesses. And chances are these are traditional businesses. Right? These businesses are owned by these fucking old cunts. There are millions and millions of them worldwide. In America alone, in US alone, there are millions of them. In fucking Australia, there's millions of them. Probably maybe hundreds of thousands, but still, same shit. Lots of opportunities. In Europe, same shit. Germany, these kinds of countries, so many small businesses at this 1 to 10 mil mark, 1 to 10 mil revenue mark that are up for sale right now and over the next 5 to 10 years. And this is your opportunity to take them because no one wants them. Their kids don't want them. The average investor, everyone's going to the banks. So, I talk shit about property, but please keep buying property because that means more businesses are up for sale for me and my network, my people. That's what's up. So if you're horny about property, keep going, keep doing that. Why not? Keep doing that. That's more opportunity for me. Anyway, most of these businesses, 1 to 10 mil revenue, they're traditional, meaning, as I said, healthcare, logistics, waste management, plumbing, landscaping, these traditional businesses, not tech, not e-com, right? The shit that you see as you're walking down the street, like these stores, the people cleaning the streets, the dry cleaners, all these kinds of traditional businesses, essential services, even better, right? And we're looking for profitable and cash flowing, and there are millions of these businesses. So how do you snatch these up, right? How do you snatch up these profitable cash flowing businesses? There are two things. My model, I call it the 3C model. 3C model. Before you do this C, the funnest C, closing, actually buying a company, and my friend Christian Dawes, he calls them projects, right? Every project needs two things. These are the other C's. Credibility and capital. Money and the rep. So businesses are easy to find, right? I always recommend going straight to the sellers. Literally, get a list of the businesses you want. Let's say I'm in healthcare, so I literally just go clinics near me, or I just I use tools like Apollo, LinkedIn, all that stuff. I search for businesses and I save their details. I have their office number and preferably get their owner's number. And you can use Apollo, Zoom Info. You can use a variety of tools to get the numbers of owners directly. And just call them. Pick up the phone and call them. Hey, I want to buy your business. Hey, have you ever thought about selling? Once you get here, now how do you actually, you need two things to actually get that done. First part of it is credibility. This is actually C number 1. Before you get to the closing process, before you get to the capital process, I actually recommend my students to go through 1, credibility. C1, credibility. Build your credibility, because if you're a nobody, no one's going to listen to you, right? The money's not going to listen to you, and the business that you want, the owners aren't going to listen to you. Right? The reason why I was able to get the attention of so many people, of the money, the investors, the businesses, was because I had the credibility. Even if you have the credibility, people will ignore you, right? It's not like some famous person, like a fucking Leonardo DiCaprio comes into town and everyone goes fucking trying to say hello or meet him, or every single girl is trying to suck his dick, right? A lot of girls will. A lot of people will. but not everyone. So it's the same shit. Like if you're a nobody and you rock up to a city, it's like no one cares. But if you have some credibility, if you have a name to yourself, then more people are inclined to give you what you're after, right? That's the whole point of credibility. So what do I mean here? How do you build credibility if you're a nobody, right? You can do a board, you can get partners, and you can kind of combine these two into one, right? You're in business together, business partners. My model more focuses on building a board rather than getting partners, because a lot of people with money won't get into a partnership with some random kid, some random person. Let's say you're not a kid. Let's say you're 40 years old, you're pretty established, but you're still a nobody, right? Why would a billionaire just partner with you, right? Go 50-50 or 30, whatever, and partner with you in a company. So this is, people with money usually just get into partnerships with people they know. It's much easier, it's much safer. A partnership is like, I've heard a lot of businessmen say to me, a partnership is more, you got to be more critical about business partnerships than your marriage, right? A marriage, you can always find another wife, you can always find another husband, but a business partnership, fuck, you ain't getting that 2 mil back. You can always make more money, yes, but it's like that time and effort you put into a venture, you're never going to get that back. Anyway, so the board. Building a board, use LinkFuck. What is LinkFuck? LinkedIn. Use LinkFuck to go find people and recruit them to your board. And how you're going to get them on your board or board of directors is giving them equity in your company. Alright, so this is the first part, and this is so easy to do. Just like how there are millions of businesses out there available for you to buy, there are fucking even more people for you to recruit onto your board, for you to recruit and get some credibility to your name, credibility to your organization. Right? You can literally message someone on the internet. That's the beauty of the internet. If you're not using the internet to sell and to build, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Anyway, you offer these people equity, right? So you're looking for CEOs, like retired CEOs, partners of firms, like big dogs, industry titans, right? For example, my chairman on my board is the former ambassador to the UK, former chairman of one of the world's largest hedge funds, chairman of national and international companies, good friends with the former Prime Minister of Australia. So someone like that, when I walk into a room and they say, oh, this guy's on your board, this guy's your chairman, like that gives me instant credibility, right? So when I walk into a bank and they're like, oh, your dude is this guy, then instant credibility. And same thing with when I go to a business and then they're looking at, I send them some information about myself and my company and they're like, oh, this guy's associated with XYZ, this person, that person. Shit, he must be someone. Let's talk to him, right? I instantly turn into a Leonardo DiCaprio. I instantly turn into a Donald Trump as soon as I associate my name with other people, right? People that are worth it. So when you're building your credibility, don't use your fucking cousin that's an accountant. Don't use your uncle or auntie or people that are just low to middle level, right? Like just because, this is a good example, just because someone works at KPMG or PwC or EY or has worked at Deutsche Bank as a vice president doesn't mean shit. They need to be top dogs. They need to be the CEO of PwC, a senior partner at PwC, right? These kinds of titles, these kinds of roles, not some junior analyst or some middle manager retard. Like no one cares about these people. You want people that have been in seriously high positions in life to build that credibility, right? As I alluded to, my chairman, that's just one example, right? I've got a whole board of people with a name. Now, once you actually build your credibility, you've got to get the capital, right? Before you can close a business, you've got your credibility, now you need the capital. So how do you get the money? I'm going to share 4 ways to get it. First way, vendor finance. My favorite and what you should focus on. This is using the businesses that you're looking at, the business that you're wanting to buy, using their money to pay for them themselves, right? So what the key behind vendor finance and how to make it work is relieving them from the burden of what? The burden of ownership. Now, if you've never been in business before, you probably think a business owner that's, doing $10 million in rev, making $2 million profit, they're just fucking lounging on the beach, sipping on drinks, sucking on titties. Like, that is not how most of these business owners are, especially if they're these motherfuckers, right? They're from the old school generation. They're not like that. They're working in the business. They've got a burden of ownership. They're looking after shit, all right? And this is what we're taking off their hands. Chances are, if most traditional businesses out there are working on practices and systems and processes that they established 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? Cash in the box, like making people write on paper and like keeping paper records. They're doing shit like that. And that is why they've got this burden of ownership. They're stuck in 1990 and you're taking it off their hands, right? As a smart modern day thinker, right? You're a genius. You're going to think of ways to improve the business and relieve yourself even of this burden of ownership, once you take over, right? But this is essentially how you're pitching a business sale anywhere. And in fact, you're not pitching anything. You're looking for motivated sellers. You're looking for sellers that want to sell their business regardless if it's you or some fucking Tom, Joe, Sally down the street, right? They want to sell their business. They don't care. Well, they probably do care who it is, but they want to sell their business. They're sick. They're retiring. They want to get out. They're done. And you come in, relieving them burden of ownership, and you can do it with vendor finance. I explain vendor finance and these financing terms and structures and the difference between them in other videos. So I'm not going to go through them today. But here are the four structures, right? Vendor finance being the first one. Vendor rollover being the second. Commercial debt being the third. And investor capital being the fourth. This is the last resort. I like to avoid investor capital because it's for other reasons I've mentioned before, but avoid investor capital. Can't be fucked with investor capital. And like, you look at Shark Tank, for example, they'll give you the money and then they're just like, I want to be your business partner. I'm your business partner. And I want you to run the business the way I want you to run the business. Commercial debt is bank money. Commercial debt, bank money. Now, this is third, right? First options. Vendor finance, vendor rollover. Because this circumvents the banks. This avoids all the bullshit. And you can get a deal done very, very quickly with vendor finance. Because a bank can take anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks. 6 to 12 weeks to get financing from. Whereas vendor finance, vendor rollover, 1 to 2 weeks. Boom, done. Bang, bang. And these are the only financing structures you need to understand, not even understand, to use to buy companies. Okay? So let's restart a little bit. So we had C1, which was the credibility. After that, you go to C2, which is the capital structures. And then we can go to C3, closing. How do we close? I already said off market, right? We want to go off market. Avoid the brokers because they're annoying, they're retarded, and they are focused on their commission, not trying to get you a good deal. When you go off market, a lot of these business owners haven't spoken to anyone. And when you come in with an offer that they can't refuse, it's a thing of beauty. Now, as I said at the start of the video, I'm going to show you how to abuse the capitalist financial system in 2025. In 2026, in 2027, we're at the end of 2025. Holy fuck, that went fast, hey? If you haven't reached your goals, if you haven't gotten the shit that you wanted done, come on, guys. Like this video hopefully helps kick you up a gear, helps show you the opportunities available out there, right? Look at all these old motherfuckers who have shit to give you, have all this value and asset, all this money to give you. Anyway, C3 closing, we're finding off-market deals. We are buying these companies at 3 to 5 times EBITDA. Right, so this is how to abuse the financial system now. We're buying these companies at 3 to 5 times EBITDA. Right, we're making sure free cash flow covers debt. Well, that's a B. Debt service. Free cash flow covers debt service. And we're buying at a value of 3 to 5 times EBITDA. As long as these two, you can meet these two criteria, fucking let's go. Game on. That's all you need to understand. Everything else about the business, that's why you have a board. That's why you have credibility. Not only do you have credibility, you have expertise. But we're buying companies at 3 to 5 times EBITDA, and then we're going to sell at 8 to 15, maybe even fucking 20 times EBITDA. What is EBITDA? It's earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. How do you find free cash flow, by the way? You get net operating profit after tax, and then you do some shit. You do some more shit to it. I'll explain this in another video. But essentially, this will show your bottom line, net operating profit after tax, obviously after tax. So it should be less than this number. And then when you take away a few more adjustments, then you get your free cash flow. And you structure a deal where your free cash flow covers the debt service, right? So you need to identify this number firstly, and then your debt service number, you clarify, or you even make with vendor finance, or you clarify with bankers with your commercial debt, right? You understand their terms, their typical interest rates, you know, their lending parameters, and within that, you can gather what your debt service could be in a deal, right? You just want to make sure free cash flow covers debt service. I don't know why I went into that tangent, but if we're buying companies at 3 to 5 times EBITDA, right, their profit, 3 to 5 times that, and then we're buying. We're buying companies, let's say we're buying like 10, 20, 30 of these companies, and then we're able to sell this entire group at 8, 15, 20 times. Chances are, if you're at 30, you're selling at this like 10 to 12 times. 10 to 12 times EBITDA range. So just think about, this is what we call the multiple arbitrage. So think about how much money you're going to make here. $1 million, $1 million at 3 to 5 times is 3 to 5 million. And what is that at 10 to 12 times? 10 to 12 million. So just think about this on a larger scale. You're at 10 million, 20 million, 30 million EBITDA. And just think about that multiple arbitrage. This is how some of the richest people in the world have made their money. How billionaires have made their money. How, 9-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs have made their money via acquisition at lower multiples, and then selling at a higher multiple. And who's paying these high multiples? We've got the PE guys, private equity, and we've got strategic buyers. So large corporates, groups. Like say, for example, in Australia, in healthcare, we've got 2 major insurance players, Medibank and fucking Bupa. In 2022 or some shit, Medibank bought out a chain of medical clinics, 400 milli. And I'm pretty sure before that, there was another group, right? A strategic buyer that bought another group of medical clinics for $400 million as well. Sorry, this might have been $300 million, Medibank, and then the strategic buyer, I think they paid $400 million. $400 million for a group of GP clinics, medical clinics. What is this model called? This is called the roll-up model. You're consolidating within an industry, right? You're only going to get this multiple if you're in an industry, if you're industry focused. So if you're looking to build a conglomerate of, fucking hair salons here, landscaping here, fucking retail stores here, there's not going to be many players out there who will want to buy that group. They'll probably want to buy the divisions, right? Say a landscaping company might want to buy your landscaping division, or your hair salon division might be a beauty company might want to buy that, right? But that way that's when you start looking at 6 to 8 times, right? But if you're like me, if you're building a healthcare group and you're focused on a particular industry, all the businesses are related, they're integrated, you've done the hard work of buying all these businesses, integrating them, right? Utilizing the economies of scale. You've found the integrations, you've found the optimizations, you've done the hard work, or maybe not you, your team, right? Your staff. And they will pay super fat multiples for that, right? So you're buying at 3 to 5 times and then you're selling at 10 to 15 to 20 times. If that's not going to blow your mind, I don't know what will, right? You can literally turn $1 million into fucking $10-12 million just through scale. Like, you didn't have to do anything to these businesses, just buy them, group them up, and boom, they're instantly worth 2-3 times more money. So this is how you're going to abuse the financial system, right? Because you're using, I've explained this in other videos, but you're using debt. You're using debt to acquire equity, and then over time, let's say 3 to 10 years. Now, I know I use the real estate example with the 10 years, but the difference here is cash flow. In a business, you can control how much money you make, right? You can hire more people, fire more people, introduce more products, and actually manipulate, actually influence the cash flow, as opposed to a fixed tenancy where tenants pay a fixed rate, right? Very few tenant agreements are paying percentages of revenue or profit nowadays. So this is the key difference with the if you're going to looking at that 10-year horizon, you're like, oh, I can just buy property and make that money. But no, within that 10 years, there's a difference of cash flow, but also that multiple arbitrage. You're not going to find that multiple arbitrage in property. Anyway, you're using debt to buy equity. Over time, right? Let's say 3 to 10 years. You're reducing that debt and increasing that equity. Right? You're paying that debt down using business cash flow, and you're increasing the overall equity you have in the company, right? So you're minimizing this debt, raising the equity. You're also raising up the cash flow, right? Raising up the cash flow, optimizing expenses and all that shit. And I don't know what fucking better model there is. What better financial, business, entrepreneurial model there is. I've done the crypto, the e-com, the freelancing, like fucking done it all. And this is the best model by far. I'm at home right now recording this for you, right? It's a sunny day out there. I'm going to go out for a walk later, get some sunshine. But I can work whenever I want. And even if I just stopped recording this video, if I just started fucking jerking off or sucking on my girl's tits or something, I can still make money. Well, I'm not making the money. My companies are making that money for me, right? So I'm abusing this debt mechanism. I love debt because it allows me to buy an asset that has increasing equity value and fucking cash flow. It pays me money even though I'm not fucking working in it. And this is how rich people turn wealthy, right? Rich people can make a lot of money but still be poor as fuck because they need to put in their time and their energy into their income to make their income. Whereas wealthy people leverage other people's time and energy and things, right? Like you can create a thing. Wealthy people leverage other people and asset value to have money come in the bank, to have cash coming into their pockets. Right? This is the difference. This is the difference between rich and wealthy. Leverage. And in this model that I just showed you, right? In this model that I just showed you, how we're taking advantage of this economic opportunity, what's happening right now. We're applying a model that is timeless, right? Buying assets, buying companies. We're using creative financing, right? We're looking for motivated sellers, and we're looking for deals off market. We're buying at multiples, industry standard, market standard multiples. We're doing the hard work, and we're making our staff do the hard work. And then we can sell it off because we are shareholders, we are the owners, for a much higher multiple, right? So this model was how my friend went from a $5.5 million deal for his first deal, 100%, no money down, NMD. NMD. By the way, DM me NMD on Instagram at official Josh Lee if you want my help with implementing this. If you're in business now and you want to start growing via acquisition, you're like, fuck, I'm gonna stop being a retard and spending 200k on marketing just to get like an extra 300k in the bank. I want to start buying companies and buying $5-10 million in revenue rather than trying to build it yourself. DM me on Instagram at official Josh Lee, right? Official Josh Lee, that's with an L-I, like Jet Li. Anyway, this is how my friend, this model that I'm just showing you now, first deal, $5.5 million, no, 100%, no money down, NMD, and he recently just exited for $200 million cash. Full exit, 200 milli, boom, just like that, in about 7 years. Can you tell me which property game, which fucking, besides crypto fucking or lucky crypto fucking, right? Lucky crypto fucking or lucky share trading. Tell me what model can do this reliably, sustainably, almost guaranteed. $5.5 million into $200 million in deal value. Well, actually, no, this was $200 million cash exit. So it was technically from 0 to $200 million. Tell me what model. 7 years. I'm waiting. You can DM me on Instagram as well. I'm waiting on what fucking model is out there that can do this for you. So that's how you can abuse the financial system, the capitalist financial system in 2025. We're taking advantage of the retired old people who have all these assets, all these businesses, got no one to take them over. You're going to be their saving grace. You're going to be the white knight, the knight in shining armor, coming to their rescue and paying them what their business is worth, and ultimately exiting. Because there's trillions of dollars out there. There are lots of private equity firms, large players with, $50, $100, $200 million in dry powder, and they want to buy companies like what you're going to build. You're going to go out there and buy 30 landscaping companies and sell that off to private equity or a large corporate for $200 million. And you walk away with a majority of that money. How does that sound? How does that sound? If you want to learn how to do this, join my private community, the Owners Academy. We'll put a link in the description below. Or, as I said, DM me on Instagram at official Josh Lee. That's Lee with an L-I. DM me NMD if you want help implementing this roll up, this consolidation model, how to buy companies using debt. If you want to start implementing this, TOA, the Owners Academy, more for beginner, intermediate entrepreneurs. NMD, DM me NMD on Instagram if you are a bit more experienced. If you've got, say, a business that's already doing $1 million in revenue, you're in a traditional industry yourself and you want to start acquiring your competitors, but you don't have the money to do so, right? You want to use debt, you want to learn how to structure deals, how to find these deals, how to integrate your company with your acquisition targets. If you want to learn how to do all that, then hit me up. I'm going to put the details in the description below. So don't finger fuck anymore. Take advantage of what's happening right now. The silver tsunami, golden economic opportunity, once in a lifetime. Greatest transfer of wealth in history, in the Earth's history. Hope you got a lot of value. See you on the next one.